Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Let me know if this sounds familiar to you. You're an audio engineer, you're working on a project in your DAW, and you want to get the sound from there into apps like Discord, Zoom, Skype, or maybe even OBS so you can stream it. Maybe you're a gamer and you do audio on the side, and you want to have the best sounding microphone you possibly can.
Or maybe you just need to rage at someone.
Maybe you died, and on command, you just want to be able to go, no! Whether it's one of those reasons or another one that brought you to the channel, hopefully this video is going to be able to help you today. I figured out how to do this a while back, but I'm involved in a few different audio communities, and it's still a prevalent problem that people are facing. I scoured the internet and I found a few different ways to do this, so we're going to talk about it today. As a heads up, this is a guide for PC, and I personally use Cubase. I'm not going to talk about which DAW is best. I'm just going to talk about how I set things up in Cubase, and then you should be able to take that concept to your DAW of choice and make this work as well. Wait. Before we jump into it, please make sure that you are following the channel, like the video, leave a comment, let me know if it helped you out at all, and ring the bell icon, all the YouTube buzzwords. Let's get started. The first step is to get the VB audio cable. It's completely free and absolutely crucial to making this work. In the description down below, I will include a link that takes you right here to the download page. Once you get it installed, you're probably going to have to restart your computer. The purpose is it shows Windows a new input and output driver. For programs like Discord, Zoom, Skype, and even OBS, this is what we'll use as the audio driver to look for. Next up is our routing plugins. I have two different options. The first up is made by Reaper. Chances are you know what Reaper is. You might even be using Reaper yourself. We're going to be looking for the plugin ReaStream, which installs as a VST2, which can be seen by OBS as well as any other DAW, except for Pro Tools. So if you are on Pro Tools, this option is not available to you, unless you have a plugin wrapper. But that's an entirely different problem, and there are plenty of other YouTube videos about it. Once we get to the DAW portion, I will show how this particular setup works. The next option is Source Nexus. This one, although it says $295 here, has a subscription model, which is about $12 a month. This one comes with VST3, VST2, and AAX, which means that if you're on Pro Tools, this is going to be your best option. I will also show in the DAW how this one works. I will include the link to take you straight to the page for this one as well. As I said in the start of the video, I personally use Cubase, but what I'm going to talk about here can be applied in any DAW. Let's jump into it. I have a very simple project set up right now with a microphone, a guitar channel, and a special bus called DAW Route Out. No matter what DAW you use, there's a method like this that can work for you. This is what I found to create a balance between everything that I try to do within my DAW that I then need to go to another program such as OBS or Discord. The clipper that I'm running here in the beginning is purely to control any kind of peaks that might come through rather than let it peak and then pop somebody's ears on the other end. This is just a step that I personally use. I'm processing my microphone inside of Cubase with a few plugins here, and that audio gets sent to my bus for routing audio out. I have this bus set up this way so that way I can send things at different volume levels independently of how I hear them in my headphones. So my voice and my guitar will be how I want to hear them, but on the other end, I'm able to turn down my guitar if it's too much louder than my voice for someone else. In this case, my vocal mic is going at 0, and my guitar track is going at -4.5. On the bus, I've got a clipper. That's just so that way I can make sure that everything that goes across this routing doesn't peak in someone else's ears. First up is the free method. We've got ReaStream here. This is set to send, and you have to click and go to local broadcast. A bug that I ran into that I'm not sure why it works this way, but it solved an issue for me. When I click local broadcast and then click somewhere else in the box, that was the first time I ever got it to actually send audio out of this instance and into another instance of the same plugin. Very strange. I can't say that it's going to happen to you, but in case you're running into an issue, it's the stupidest thing ever. Give it a try. Here we've got Reaper. You can see that I've got Restream loaded up on the one track that I made. I opened up the preferences. I'm actually running Cakewalk at the same time as this, so that way my voice can still come through across Restream. I'll get into Cakewalk here in just a second. For the preferences, you want to make sure that you've got your input and output device set as cable, input output by VB audio cable. And the only other thing you want to make sure is that your sample rate is matching between your different devices. I find that it just has less problems as long as you double check that. Whether you're using 44.1, 48, or something else for your audio interface, you want to try to make sure that all your different drivers are using the same sample rate. Okay, now my audio is being processed inside Cubase. It is being sent to Reaper, which is picking it up. And because it is being routed out to the VB audio cable driver, I don't personally hear it, so I don't hear my voice doubled, but OBS is currently picking it up, and that's how my voice is getting into this video right now. The next step is going to involve Cakewalk, and it's very much the exact same thing. Now, Reaper isn't free, so if you need a truly free option that you don't have to feel guilty for using, then I'm going to introduce you to Cakewalk. Very much the exact same concept. Here's Cakewalk. As I said, it's very much the same thing. When you install Cakewalk, which I will include a link for down below, then you want to make sure that you go into the preferences and find the folder that you installed the Reaper plugins into, because you still need Restream to make this work. It's as simple as adding an effect from the inspector window here. I personally searched for Restream, clicked and dragged it over here, and then now it's on my effects track, and now this audio track is picking up my voice. Just like in Reaper, in the preferences section, make sure that you've got things running as VB audio cable, input and output, and then you don't have to do anything else as long as the audio is unmuted. If I mute, no audio came through despite the fact that I was talking because the track itself was muted. So as long as you are unmuted, then the audio is going to get out and it's going to make its way into OBS, assuming you have everything set up to look for VB audio cable. Hey guys, as I was editing, I realized I didn't quite touch on Restream, the plugin going straight from a DAW to OBS. It is possible to do that. Unfortunately, on my particular system, I have a really hard time getting the signal to stay connected every time I open OBS. There would be times where it just would not receive the signal from Cubase. And so because I couldn't create stability with that scenario, I did not include it in this video. Next up is the paid method. This is Source Nexus. Very simple to use. You load it up as a plugin. Same exact setup that I had before with Restream. But here the audio comes in and then it gets ready to send. You can send it to other instances of this same plugin, or you can actually choose to send it to a specific audio driver. In our case, VB audio cable. Because that is set to that, OBS is currently picking it up. As I said, this is a much simpler way to go about doing things. It's just whether or not you can afford to have a couple less Starbucks for your month. Next up is OBS. I'm going to try my best to keep this short and sweet, but there's a few things to go over real quick. First is your audio channel. I personally like to make one that isn't my standard desktop audio. I actually mute that one out and hide it so you can't see it. I make a new audio track. And then if you change the properties, it's cable input by VB audio cable. So once again, the most crucial step was the first step because everything else kind of relies on this particular driver. In order to account for offset, what I like to do is load up either a metronome on my web browser, especially if I'm playing guitar and I want it to line up properly. Or if you are trying to do a camera like this, then what I would do is clap, and you can't see it right now. As I clap, you can see that the bar actually responds to the audio. What I did was I made recordings so I could watch the video and not try to pay attention to the bar and not see what was happening on the screen at the same time. And then I would watch the recordings and see if I could tell how out of alignment things were. I find that the guitar method works the best for me personally, though, because I can sit there and play to a metronome, and it's very easy to immediately hear if your guitar sounds ahead or behind of the audio coming from your browser. In order to change that, it's very simple. You go to Advanced Audio Properties, and then bam, here you go. Desktop for GH5. It turns out that my Panasonic GH5 has about a 100 millisecond delay by the time that my computer encodes the video. So keep an eye out for that on your end. As it turns out, by the time my DAW audio gets into OBS, a 50 millisecond delay was what I was using here. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think that it's messed up. I think I actually need to change that to 100 also. If you're having issues syncing what's happening on your screen, especially for those of you who are gamers who want to make sure that your reactions and your voice are corresponding with what's happening on screen, this is very easy to do. You set up a filter, render delay. You can add it by coming down here and then going down to render delay right here. I have it delayed by 105 milliseconds. I think that I had set this up at, slightly different times, but regardless, now the delay of what's happening in OBS matches the delay of my camera. So if I'm gaming or something and streaming, my facial reactions and what I'm saying correlate more directly with what's happening that everyone else is seeing. If you're using the paid method, which I currently use now, Source Nexus, because Source Nexus is outputting directly to VB audio cable, this audio track is catching it. If you're using one of the other methods like Cakewalk or Reaper, they're going to use VB audio cable as their audio driver, meaning that the audio you're sending from your primary DAW that then arrives in the other plugin host will then output to that channel, and now OBS can see it. That's exactly how it's going to work for any of the communication apps like Discord or Zoom, because you're going to set your input device as VB audio cable. For the Discord settings, you're going to make sure that your input device is cable output VB audio cable. Your output device should be however you're expecting to hear the people on the Discord call, whether that's your speakers or your headphone, if you have a different driver for that specifically. I don't personally. So mine is just set to this is my typical audio driver that I use for everything. I don't use push to talk, but you can. I turn off automatically determine input sensitivity because I do not want Discord to decide that for me. And then the other really big thing you want to make sure is turned off is crisp. If you have this turned on, it will assume that anything guitar or music related is white noise, and it will completely remove it from your output or your microphone input. So you don't want that. So I turn that off anytime I'm doing anything music related, especially because I run my own gate inside Cubase anyway. All right, for the last section of the video, we've got 3 different communication programs. The most popular in my experience are Discord, Zoom, and Skype. So we're going to start off with Discord, and I'm going to show what my voice sounds like on the other end. So my buddy Rory has helped me get this video. So that's where this particular section of the video is coming from. It's from his computer. So if you are in a call with somebody, this is a general idea of what you can expect they're going to hear from your end. So this is my microphone process the same way it was earlier in the video, but I also have my guitar and I have a song ready to go to kind of show what you can expect in a full mix scenario. So here's voice. This is what guitar sounds like coming across the call. I'm going to play for a few seconds so you can get the idea of whether or not the audio starts to garble with time. So here we go. Even if you're not into metal, that should hopefully give you a general idea of what he's experiencing on his end. And then last but not least, we've got a full mix. So here is a quick little clip that I was working on that has drums, guitars, bass, all that. And it's coming across Source Nexus that I showed earlier in the video. And this is what Rory is hearing on his end. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what's happening with Discord. Next up is Zoom. For Zoom settings, it's very similar to Discord. Speaker is essentially your output. Make sure that's set up to where you're expecting to hear everyone. Microphone is where your signal is coming into. So whether that's your microphone or the mix that you're trying to show someone, cable output from VB audio cable is your go-to. You're going to want to turn off automatically adjust microphone volume. Turn off Zoom optimized audio and instead use original sound for musicians. Make sure that you have a check for high fidelity music mode and for stereo mode, and turn off echo cancellation. Now, once the Zoom call starts, I'll show you inside the call, there is an option to enable original sound. It's not automatically enabled in the call. All this option does is allow you to tick that box during the call. If you do not, your sound will get garbled. As I showed you in the settings section, when you're setting up Zoom, you want to have the original sound for musicians option set so that way you can actually toggle it on. When you get into the call, make sure you click up here to turn it on, to turn off Zoom's noise suppression, which will completely ruin your audio. Just as a heads up, when you are transmitting audio over Zoom, it actually does it in stereo, which can be really good if you are trying to show someone a song that you're working on with, information across all the channels. So we went through, I showed some of the settings that you need to make sure you have set up so that way the people on the other end will hear you the way that you're supposed to be heard, assuming that Zoom's encoders handle audio the way that they're supposed to. So obviously this is my voice on Rory's end. Next up is my guitar. Again, even if you don't like metal, that should give you a pretty good idea of what like active input sounds like. And then for the last example, here is the clip of the song again, but this time coming across Zoom. So that should give you a pretty good idea. And then last is going to be Skype. For Skype, it's very much the same thing. Your microphone settings, cable output, VB audio cable. You want to turn off automatically adjust microphone settings. Noise cancellation, off. Speakers, same exact concept, wherever you're expecting to hear everyone. The last communication program we're going to go into today is going to be Skype. This is an older one that, some people love or hate. It doesn't really matter. The point is, it's one of your options. So obviously this is my microphone coming across Skype through Rory's, on Rory's end right now. And then this is guitar. Whether you're into metal or not, hopefully that helped you hear what it would sound like on somebody else's end. And then last is going to be the mix itself. So here we go. There you go. That's a quick clip of what a full mix sounds like coming across a Skype call. Hopefully that was long enough to show whether or not any kind of audio quality might be lost. That is the kind of thing that you're going to have to deal with. And we'll get into all that in the wrap-up. Hopefully with the examples that I provided, you kind of get a good idea of what you can expect by running your audio setup like this. I believe each one has its merits. I believe Discord is going to be the easiest one for most people to get into just because the user base and the ability to have friends and your own server that you can make different channels for. Just the ecosystem around Discord is its biggest draw. The drawbacks would be the video quality and the audio being only in mono because you're using the free version of Discord. I'm not paying for Nitro personally. So that would be one of the drawbacks to using Discord. Then if you move on to Zoom, The audio quality is a lot higher as long as you go through and actually remember to check all those different options. But again, the video quality is not the best with Zoom. Skype is one of the older entries into communications programs that I'm currently aware of. It's got the same audio issue as Discord with mono audio, but its video quality is a lot higher. So if you needed to show someone something very specific and you wanted to make sure they can really see what's on your screen, that's going to be the one that I'm going to recommend. So I do believe that out of the three, they all have their own use cases. So you just have to figure out which one suits your scenario. I hope this video helped. And please be sure to follow the channel, like the video, leave me a comment. Let me know if you've tried these and they still don't work out for you. I do a little bit of troubleshooting, and I wouldn't mind trying to help anybody figure out how to get from point A to point B with this kind of stuff. So I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.